Hi, welcome back to part 2 of our slow stitch / embroidery tree. I'm not going to make this a long video, and I will do some of the stitching as far as just showing you how I did the stitches a little bit towards the end of this video. I don't want to make it too long. I just want to give you an update. As you can see, I am sharing with you some of the stitches I already had added, and it's kind of hard with doing this now because the piece, I have to watch where my backing ends, and I'm trying to be mindful of everything. And I'm working with a smaller hoop just for certain sections. So let me just give you some form of how I'm taking this. I decided to add some pieces of broken branch or twigs that you fall from the tree when you have a windy day in that. So I'm starting to incorporate that on the ground here. I also added some fern stitches to make some grass. I will be adding some straight stitches, and I will be embellishing other colors to really make it like a full scenery in that. Here, let me bring it up so you can see. So again, this is the fern stitch. And basically, I've just been doing a mixture of different stitches for the branches just to give it some texture. I did a back stitch for an outline of a leaf with a straight stitch in the middle for the vein. Right here, I did some detached chains, and then I did the fly stitch. And then over here, basically the same thing. And I added a couple, like a colonial knot, a Peking knot, a French knot, just to give it like little buds. But this is how I'm going to incorporate my stitches throughout the rest of this piece. I'm also going to have some falling leaves falling out from the tree, so they're going to be scattered all throughout the piece here. Again, different colors, and just have a really nice full scenery with this. And then I'll be working on trying to figure out how I want to embellish it, as far as like sequins or beads or a satin stitch on certain areas, or I haven't decided yet. I'm really thinking this through on this one because I really like this piece, and eventually I'll probably would like to frame it. So what I wanted just to share with you on how it's looking. I hope everyone is working on their tree. If you are taking up this project and hoping to see some pictures, again, I got to look at my community page to see if I can have for everyone to have the capability to upload some pictures. So that's something I have to look into right now. So I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm just going to show you the stitches that I just named and showed you on my tree, but I'm going to do it on a scrap piece of fabric. And then this way you'll get an idea on what I've been working on. So I'll be right back. So here again, I started to play around with it so you at least get an idea of the stitches alone, and so you can at least practice, or if you wanted to use them, or otherwise you can use whatever stitches you would like to incorporate in your piece. So this one right here is the stem stitch, and I'm going to come back. May do this on an angle. I gotta tighten this up a little bit so I can at least have some tension in my fabric. Here we go. So let me do the stem stitch. So again, the stem stitch, which I showed you in the first of part 1, was you come up, you go down a little bit, and then you're coming back up in between the two. And you're going to keep your working thread in front. Pull. And you're going to do that again. You're going to come up a little bit in front. Come back up in between the two stitches, keeping your working thread in the front, and pull. That's the stem stitch. The back stitch, and you just go a ways and just pull your thread down. The back stitch is you're going to come up, give you a little bit of a length. You're going to go down. Now you're going to go a little bit ahead of that. And when you're doing these stitches, try to be consistent with your spacing on your stitches and how far front you're going in front of each stitch. So I came up the front. I'm going right back down to where that stitch came up, was ended. Okay, let me do this again. And we're trying to explain this but you're going to come up again. Be consistent of the spacing. So I'm going to come up, and I'm going to go right back down to where that last stitch was completed, or when it came up the first time. That's your back stitch. Okay. Your split stitch. Let me make sure I'm on camera here. Your split stitch, again, you're going to start out the same way. Give yourself some length. This time when I come up, I'm not going to the front. I'm going to come right back up in the middle of that stitch. So you see, I'm splitting that thread, or I'm splitting that stitch. That is the split stitch. Again, be consistent on how far you want to be ahead. And you're going to come right back up again in that same stitch. Again, split. All right? And you're going to go back down. And you're going to continue that. The next stitch I'm going to show you is the fern stitch. The fern stitch is just straight stitches. So, and you can really put these at different sizes if you like. So here's a straight stitch. And then to do the fern stitch, you're going to come up besides that stitch you just made. You're going to go back down to where that stitch ends, and you're going to come to the opposite side, and you're going to go right back down that stitch. And there's the fern stitch. Let me do that one more time. You're going to come up, and again, you can do different shaping of this fern stitch. You can make them large, medium, small size. I'm going to come back out just a little bit. I'm going to go down. And I'm going to try to be consistent with this. Come back up the other side. And come down. And that's the fern stitch. Okay. The fly stitch, I'm going to angle this way so I work from the top down. You can start out with a straight stitch, and then you're going to come back up on the side. You're going to go the opposite direction, keeping your spacing pretty much the same, but don't pull all the way through. You want this loop to be towards the front because you need to lock in that stitch. You're going to come back up to where that straight stitch that you started up from, and you're going to lock in that loop. See, if you pull it this way, you're going to lose your loop. Your loop's not going to stay. You're going to come down a little bit of the ways. Again, it all depends how you want your stitch to look. You can be as close like that to lock it in, or you can be a little further down. Again, you want to come back up. You're going to go to the opposite side, try to keep your spacing, keep your loop, come back up to that last stitch, come right up, pull forward or away from you, and then you're going to lock it in. Now I'm going to make it just a little bit longer of a stem. See how you can have different looks. Again, I'm going to come up. I'm going to kind of angle it, making sure my spacing is the same. I'm going to come back up where that stem or that straight stitch is. And make sure I get right at the end there. Okay, you see? Pull away from you, and then I can end the stitch. All right, I'm going to pause this for 1 minute because I need more thread to show you the detached chain. All right, I got a new piece of thread here. To do the detached chain, I'm going to come back up to where I just pulled my thread through. If you can't get right, just try to get as close as you can. Okay. You're going to pull that up. Nope, I'm doing it wrong. See? That's why we keep boo-boos in. Let me pause. Okay. I didn't want you to see the mess of for me to try to rethread this needle. Anyway, this is how you do a detached chain. You pull up your thread, okay? You're going to come in as close as you can or right next to that thread. You're going to come up, and again, it all depends on the size, but you have to be very cautious. You don't want to make them too big. But you're going to come up, you're going to keep this working thread in front of you, and you're going to pull to get that loop. Okay, and my chain may have twisted. No, okay. So when you have that loop, you want to lock it in. You don't want to pull too tight to lose that shaping. And then you're going to just end it. You can be as close or as, now see, I pulled too tight. Let me get this. So you want to pull, but not too tight. Let me try that again. So that's it again. It's a little bit of a skinny little leaf. So let's try another one. I'm going to come up. Okay, I'm going to come up. I'm going to get as close as I can. And let me make a little bit of a wider one so you can see. Now you're going to come through that loop. I'm pulling slowly. You want that loop to look like that. And I'm going to put my locking knot or locking stitch just right in front. And without getting my, okay, you want to get your locking stitch right in front, and there you go. There's your detached chain. I'll do another one. And let me pull this tight again so I get a little bit of tension in my fabric. You're going to come up. You're going to come up again, either right in the same spot where that thread is coming out or right next to it. You want to come up. And again, it all depends on your angle. Keeping the working thread. Pulling slowly. Now see how I did that? That's not a detached chain. It can be, I mean it can be, but let's do, I just left that little there. I'm not even going to worry about it. Like I said, I leave boo-boos in. I'm going to come as close as I can to that other chain, or go right directly into where that's coming out of. Coming up in between, pulling on my thread slowly, getting a loop like that, and then locking in by going straight down just a little bit of ways in front. And there's a detached chain. So that's all the stitches I've been working on right now. I'll give you an idea. It's hard for me to do these all on camera because I don't have a freestand hoop stand to do this. But this is the Peking knot. No, let me backtrack. This is the Peking knot. This is the one where you loop the thread around your finger and then you put that loop down and then pull through. This is the colonial knot. You can see they're all different. And then this is the French knot. And when I get a stand, I can show these much better. Right now, sitting on the floor and trying to do this on camera and then just having a little flimsy, everything wobbling, it's not going to work out for me. So, but at least I gave you an idea. But right now, these are the stitches I am working on to do my tree and doing the leaves in the grass area. And then I'll come out with another video just to show you the updates of where I'm at. And hopefully I can start seeing everyone's work. I would love to see your work and would love to share your techniques and how you're designing your own tree. Everyone take care. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to our next conversation.